In the hushed, hallowed dimness of ancient chapels, nestled in the crypts of grand cathedrals, and enshrined upon the high altars of mountain sanctuaries across Europe and beyond, she gazes upon the world. Her face is ancient, serene, and unmistakably dark. She is the Black Madonna, one of the most compelling and enduring mysteries within the vast tapestry of Christian tradition and human spirituality. She is not a single entity but a phenomenon, a collection of hundreds of statues and paintings of the Virgin Mary and the Christ child that share a common and perplexing characteristic. Their skin is black, brown, or darkened to a deep shadowy hue. To the modern mind, encountering a Black Madonna for the first time can be a moment of profound disorientation. The familiar imagery of a pale, European Madonna is subverted. Questions arise immediately. Is this a representation of a historical, ethnic Mary? Was it an artistic mistake? Was it darkened by time, smoke, and the accumulated grime of centuries? Or does the darkness point to something far deeper, something archetypal and symbolic, buried in the collective unconscious of humanity? This is the sacred mystery we embark upon today. The journey to understand the Black Madonna is not a linear path, but a descent into a labyrinth of history, faith, art, alchemy, and pre-Christian belief. These dark-hued virgins are more than mere curiosities. They are objects of intense veneration, sites of miraculous legends, and powerful focal points for pilgrimage. For millions over hundreds of years, they have represented hope, healing, and a tangible connection to the divine feminine. The purpose of this exploration is not to arrive at a single, definitive answer, for the power of the Black Madonna lies in her multiplicity of meanings. Instead, we will weave together the many threads of this mystery. We will travel from the famous sanctuaries of Montserrat in Spain and Częstochowa in Poland to the lesser-known but equally fascinating sites in France and Italy. We will examine the historical and scientific theories that seek to explain her darkness, from the pragmatic to the profound. We will delve into the legends that surround her tales of discovery, resistance, and miracle-working power. And we will explore the deeper symbolic and psychological interpretations that connect her to the earth, to the ancient goddesses of old, and to the hidden aspects of our own souls. The Black Madonna challenges our assumptions. She stands at the crossroads of the divine and the earthly, the Christian and the pagan, the light and the dark. She invites us to question, to seek, and to find meaning not in simple answers, but in the rich, complex, and dark soil of mystery itself. So, let us begin this journey into the heart of her darkness, a darkness that does not obscure, but reveals. A darkness that is not empty, but infinitely full of meaning. To truly grasp the significance of the Black Madonna, one must first appreciate her sheer numbers and the wide geographic spread of her veneration. While exact counts vary due to definitions and lost records, scholars estimate there are between 450 and 500 known Black Madonna statues and icons in Europe alone, with a significant number also found in the Americas brought by colonists and missionaries. This is not a marginal cult. It is a widespread and deeply rooted phenomenon. The heartland of the Black Madonna is unquestionably Western Europe, with France holding a particularly dense concentration. It is often called the country of 1,000 virgins, and among them, the Black Madonnas hold a special place. Over 300 are documented within its borders. They are often found in crypts, small village churches, or sites of ancient significance. Famous French examples include Notre Dame de Soustera in the crypt of Chartres Cathedral, a site that was once a pre-Christian druidic grotto. Notre Dame de Rocamadour, a breathtaking sanctuary carved into a cliff face that has been a major pilgrimage site for 1,000 years. And the enigmatic Notre Dame de Mayens in Spain too boasts its legendary Dark Ladies. Foremost among them is La Moreneta, the Little Dark One, of Montserrat, perched high in the serrated mountains outside Barcelona. The Benedictine monastery of Montserrat has been her home since the 12th century. She is the patron saint of Catalonia, a powerful symbol of regional identity and faith. Her sanctuary has drawn pilgrims for centuries, including Ignatius of Loyola, who laid his sword before her altar and embarked on his spiritual path that led to the founding of the Jesuit order. Moving north and east, we encounter another titan of the Black Madonna world, Our Lady of Częstochowa at the Jasna Monastery in Poland. Her icon, believed to have miraculous properties, is the national palladium of Polenda, sacred safeguard for the nation. Her history is a tapestry of legend and resilience, including a famous 15th century siege, where a small Polish force repelled a much larger invading army, a victory attributed to the Madonna's intervention. The scars on her cheek, said to be from the sword of a Hussite raider, are a testament to her endured suffering, mirroring the struggles of the Polish people themselves. Italy, the heart of Catholicism, is also home to numerous Black Madonnas, from the Madonna di Tindari in Sicily to the Madonna di Loreto, who gives her name to the Holy House. She is said to have miraculously transported from Nazareth. These images are deeply woven into the local religious fabric. Even the Vatican itself houses a Black Madonna in its grottos, the Madonna della Febbre, one of the oldest known. This geographic distribution is crucial. It tells us that the phenomenon was not the product of a single artist, eswim, or a localized theological trend. It was a widespread, grassroots development that emerged roughly between the 11th and 15th centuries, often in places with known pre-Christian histories of goddess worship. Many of these statues were said to have been found rather than discovered in a field, unearthed from the ground, or miraculously revealed, suggesting a deep, ancient connection to the land itself. These sites became, and often remain, powerful centers of spiritual energy and pilgrimage, drawing people not just from the local parish, but from across continents. The map of the Black Madonna is a map of ancient Europe, a map of power places, and a map of a profound human need for a motherly, protective, and mysterious, divine presence that is intimately connected to the earth. The central question that has fascinated scholars, theologians, and pilgrims for centuries is both simple and profound. Why are they black? The answer, like the subject itself, is complex and multifaceted. A spectrum of theories exists, ranging from accidental causes to intentional symbolism, from scientific explanations to spiritual interpretations. Examining these theories does not diminish the mystery, but rather adds depth to our understanding of how a single phenomenon can be viewed through multiple lenses. The most straightforward explanations attribute the darkness to physical and chemical processes over time. Many Black Madonnas have resided for centuries in chapels and crypts, illuminated by candles and oil lamps. The steady accumulation of smoke and soot from these flames could have gradually darkened the original pigments of the statues and paintings. This theory is particularly plausible for works carved from wood, a porous material that easily absorbs such residues. Additionally, medieval artists often used white lead carbonate and other metal-based pigments for flesh tones. Over centuries, exposure to air and moisture can cause these pigments to oxidize, darkening significantly. Protective varnishes applied by artists can also yellow and darken with age, altering the appearance of the underlying paint. General environmental factors, including dirt, grime, and accumulated dust, can create a patina that obscures the original coloration. In some cases, restoration efforts have revealed lighter original paint layers beneath the dark exterior, supporting this theory. However, while accidental causes may explain some cases, they cannot account for the entire phenomenon. Historical records and liturgical texts often explicitly refer to these figures as black or dark, from their earliest documented history, predating significant exposure to candle smoke or environmental factors. Moreover, the darkness is frequently specific to the flesh tones of the Madonna and Child, while their robes and backgrounds retain their original colors. This selective application suggests a deliberate artistic choice rather than universal decay. If the darkness is not always accidental, then it must be intentional, opening the door to theological and symbolic interpretations. One of the most enduring explanations references the Song of Songs from the Old Testament, which contains the line, "I am black but beautiful, O daughters of Jerusalem, like the tents of Kedar, like the curtains of Solomon. Do not stare at me because I am dark, because the sun has gazed upon me." By the medieval period, the Catholic Church interpreted this text as an allegory for the love between Christ and his Church, with the bride also identified as the Virgin Mary. Depicting Mary as black was thus a visual reference to this scripture, emphasizing her beauty, her role as the bride of God, and her connection to divine passion. Her darkness was not a negative trait, but a mark of sacred distinction. In a broader symbolic sense, darkness represents the unknown, the mysterious, and the unfathomable depth of the divine. The darkness of the Madonna can be seen as a representation of the Deus absconditus, the hidden God, who cannot be fully comprehended by human reason. She becomes a vessel for divine mystery, a mother who holds the secret of creation in her darkness. Her dark skin symbolizes the fertile soil from which life springs, and the dark night of the soul that precedes spiritual illumination. Alchemical symbolism also offers a compelling interpretation. In alchemical tradition, the Negredo blackening was the first stage of the great work, the and dissolution of base matter necessary for transformation into gold, a symbol of spiritual perfection. The Black Madonna embodies this stage, representing the primal, dark materia prima that contains the potential for all transformation. Pilgrims, seeking her intercession, were, in a symbolic sense, seeking their own spiritual transformation through a descent into their own darkness, to be reborn. Beyond Christian doctrine, anthropological theories suggest that the Black Madonnas are Christianized continuations of older pagan traditions. The early church often built churches and shrines atop pre-existing pagan worship sites to facilitate conversion by co-opting sacred geography. Many Black Madonna shrines, such as Chartres, formerly a druidic grotto, and Montserrat, a site of Venus worship, are located on these ancient telluric or earth energy sites. The theory posits that local populations, accustomed to worshipping dark, maternal earth goddesses like Cybele, Artemis, Isis, or Diana, transferred their devotion to the Christian figure of Mary. Her darkness was a retention of the ancient goddess's attributes, ensuring the continuity of the numinous power of the place. In this view, the Black Madonna is the Christian face of the ancient Great Mother Goddess, a figure of immense power, fertility, and wisdom. Each of these theories contributes to understanding the Black Madonna's significance. Her power likely derives from a confluence of factors: accidental patina, deliberate symbolism, mystical meaning, and an ancient pre-Christian memory of the divine feminine that found expression within Christianity. To truly appreciate the significance of the Black Madonna, one must understand her not merely as an artistic or theological concept, but as a living presence in specific locations. Two sites in particular stand as titans in the world of Black Madonna veneration: Montserrat in Spain and Jasna in Poland. Their stories, legends, and enduring influence provide a concrete foundation for understanding the phenomenon's power. Our Lady of Montserrat, La Moreneta, perched high in the serrated mountains outside Barcelona. The Benedictine monastery of Santa Maria de Montserrat is home to La Moreneta, the little dark-skinned one. This wooden Romanesque statue, dating to the 12th century, depicts the Virgin Mary with the Christ child on her lap, both with distinctly black faces and hands, contrasting with their golden garments and the vibrant colors of the canopy. The legend of her discovery is a classic found statue narrative. According to tradition, around the year 880, shepherd boys in the mountains saw a bright light and heard heavenly music descending from the sky. Guided by this vision, they discovered the statue in a small cave. They immediately reported it to the local bishop, who, upon attempting to move the statue to the nearby city of Manresa, found it became impossibly heavy. Interpreting this as a divine sign that the statue wished to remain on the mountain, the bishop ordered a chapel to be built on the discovery site. This tale establishes the Madonna's agency. She chooses her place of dwelling, a place of ancient pre-Christian power. The monastery that grew around her became one of the most important pilgrimage sites in Europe. Its significance was cemented when Ignatius of Loyola, a soldier turned spiritual seeker, traveled there in 1522. After a night of vigil before La Moreneta, he laid his sword and dagger on her altar, dedicating his life to God. This act of transformation led directly to the founding of the Society of Jesus. The Jesuits, one of the most influential orders in Catholic history. This story perfectly illustrates the Black Madonna's role as a catalyst for profound personal and spiritual transformation. Echoing the alchemical concept of Negredo, Our Lady of Czestochowa, the Black Madonna of Poland, the icon of Our Lady of Czestochowa, housed in the Jasna Monastery, is more than a religious image. She is a national symbol, the Queen of Poland. Her history is a tapestry of miracle, violence, and resilience. The Byzantine icon, painted on wood, is characterized by two distinctive scars on the Virgin's right cheek. The legend states that the icon was painted by St. Luke the Evangelist on a tabletop from the Holy Family's home in Nazareth. It was discovered in Jerusalem in the 4th century by St. Helena, who brought it to Constantinople. From there, it eventually made its way to Poland. The most defining legend occurred in the 15th century when Hussite raiders attacked the monastery. One of the attackers struck the icon with his sword, inflicting the two scars on her face. When he attempted to deliver a second blow, he fell to the ground in agony and died. This story of miraculous self-defense established her as a protector and a warrior figure. Her role as Poland's protector was solidified during the siege of Jasna in Itzenlu by Wushawu, when a small group of Polish defenders successfully held the monastery against a massive Swedish invasion force. This victory was attributed to the Madonna's intercession and became a turning point in the war, fueling national morale. Throughout Poland's history, through partitions, wars, and communist rule, the Black Madonna of Częstochowa has remained an unshakable symbol of national identity, hope, and resistance against overwhelming odds. Her darkness is seen not as passive, but as strong and resilient, bearing the scars of history alongside her people. Beyond the historical, artistic, and theological interpretations lies another profound dimension of the Black Madonna's significance: her psychological meaning. In the 20th century, the work of Swiss psychiatrist Carl Gustav Jung and his followers provided a powerful framework for understanding why these dark figures continue to resonate so deeply in the modern psyche, even for those outside the Catholic tradition. Jungian psychology suggests that the Black Madonna represents a crucial archetype of the collective unconscious, the deep feminine, or the Earth Mother. Jung and the archetype of the Black Madonna. Carl Jung saw symbols like the Black Madonna not merely as religious artifacts, but as external manifestations of innate, universal patterns within the human psyche, which he termed archetypes. For Jung, the color black traditionally symbolizes the unconscious itself, the hidden, unknown, and often rejected aspects of the personality. The Black Madonna, therefore, represents the conjunction of the maternal, nurturing feminine principle, the Madonna, with the depths of the unconscious blackness. She embodies what Jung called the shadow, the parts of ourselves we repress, deny, or deem unacceptable. Integrating the shadow is essential for psychological wholeness or individuation. The Black Madonna, in her darkness, does not reject this shadow but embraces it, offering a model for accepting the full complexity of our nature. She symbolizes the transformative process of descending into our own darkness, our fears, traumas, and unresolved conflicts to emerge, renewed and more complete. This mirrors the alchemical process of Negredo, where putrefaction precedes enlightenment. In this psychological reading, pilgrimage to a Black Madonna shrine becomes an external metaphor for an internal journey of self-discovery and healing. The divine feminine in a disenchanted world. In an increasingly secular and rationalistic modern world, the Black Madonna has experienced a remarkable resurgence of interest, often from those who are spiritual but not religious. She speaks to a contemporary yearning for a spirituality that is more embodied, immanent, and connected to the natural world than what is often perceived in patriarchal religious structures. She is seen as a powerful symbol of the divine feminine, a concept that encompasses qualities often marginalized in Western culture: intuition, compassion, nurturing, creativity, and a deep connection to nature and the cycles of life and death. Her darkness connects her to the earth itself, to the fertile soil, to the mystery of caves and the underworld, to the night sky. For many modern seekers, she represents a spiritual path that honors the body, the earth, and the feminine aspects of the divine, offering a counterbalance to centuries of predominantly masculine imagery for God, a symbol of inclusivity and social justice. Furthermore, in an era grappling with issues of racial equality and decolonization, the Black Madonna's darkness has taken on new layers of meaning. For some, she stands as an ancient affirmation of blackness as sacred and beautiful. Long before modern social movements, she challenges the predominantly white imagery of the divine that has been dominant in Western art and offers a powerful icon for inclusivity. Her narratives also often align with themes of social justice. She is frequently the Madonna of the oppressed, the poor, and the marginalized. At sites like Rocamadour in France, she was historically known as the patron of prisoners. Her resilience, as seen in Częstochowa, inspires those fighting for liberation and justice. This aspect transforms her from a passive object of devotion into an active symbol of strength and resistance for disenfranchised communities. Enduring pilgrimage. The enduring power of these figures is perhaps most visibly demonstrated by the uninterrupted streams of pilgrims to their shrines. At Montserrat, Częstochowa, and dozens of other sites, people continue to arrive by the millions. They come not only to pray, but to touch, to gaze, to be in the presence of the mystery. They bring their sorrows, their illnesses, their hopes, and their gratitude. This pilgrimage is a testament to a deep, human need to connect with a sacred presence that is both powerful and compassionate, strong and nurturing, divine and earthly. The Black Madonna satisfies this need in a unique way. She does not offer easy answers or cheap grace. Her darkness suggests that the path to healing and wholeness involves confronting the darkness within and without, and that true transformation often begins in the shadows. In conclusion, the Black Madonna remains a sacred mystery because she is multifaceted. She is a historical artifact, a theological puzzle, an artistic phenomenon, a psychological archetype, and a living symbol of resilience. She is both deeply rooted in specific places and cultures and universally relevant to the human search for meaning. Her darkness is not a problem to be solved, but a depth to be explored, an enduring invitation to encounter the divine in its most mysterious and transformative form. While the heartland of the Black Madonna tradition remains in Europe, her influence and symbolic power have transcended continental borders, taking root in new soil and evolving to meet the spiritual needs of diverse cultures. This global journey demonstrates the adaptability and universal resonance of this ancient archetype, showing how a medieval European religious phenomenon can become a potent symbol in the Americas and in contemporary global spirituality. The Black Madonna in the Americas. The colonization of the Americas by European powers, particularly Spain, Portugal, and France, led to the transplantation of Black Madonna devotion to the New World. Missionaries and settlers brought with them copies of their beloved local Madonnas, and in the complex cultural exchange that followed, these figures took on new significance. In Brazil, devotion to Our Lady of Aparecida provides a powerful example. According to legend, in 1717, fishermen praying to the Virgin Mary pulled a broken terracotta statue of a dark Madonna from the river. After the discovery, their catch of fish became miraculously abundant. The statue, darkened by years in the water, was restored and became known as Nossa Senhora da Conceição, Aparecida, Our Lady of the Conception, who appeared for Brazilians, especially those of African descent. Her darkness resonated deeply. She became a national symbol of hope and resilience. Officially declared the patroness of Brazil in 1929, her basilica in São Paulo is now the largest Marian shrine in the world, drawing millions of pilgrims annually. Her story of being found in water by the marginalized fishermen and her dark complexion have made her a particularly important figure for Afro-Brazilians, syncretizing in complex ways with African-derived religions. Like in Mexico, the most famous Marian image is the Virgin of Guadalupe, who appeared to the indigenous peasant Juan Diego in 1531. While traditionally depicted with light skin, her symbolic role parallels that of the Black Madonna. She appeared not to a Spanish conqueror, but to an indigenous man, and her image, miraculously imprinted on his tilma, contained symbols understandable within the indigenous Nahua cosmology. She was a dark mother in a cultural sense, bridging the Spanish and indigenous worlds, becoming a powerful symbol of mestizo identity and national unity. She, like the European Black Madonnas, represents a fusion of pre-existing spiritual traditions with Catholic devotion. In the United States, copies of European Black Madonnas, particularly Our Lady of Czestochowa, are venerated in Polish American communities, serving as a vital link to cultural and religious heritage. Furthermore, the archetype has been adopted and reinterpreted within feminist spirituality, goddess movements, and among artists and writers, seeking powerful symbols of the deep feminine that exist outside conventional patriarchal imagery. The Black Madonna in contemporary art and culture. The archetype of the Black Madonna continues to inspire modern artists, musicians, and writers, proving her relevance is not confined to churches or history books. She appears in contemporary painting, sculpture, and installation art, often used to explore themes of identity, race, gender, and the sacred. Musicians across genres have drawn inspiration from her. For example, the British soul artist Labi Siffre's song Black Madonna uses the image to speak of a profound, nurturing, and challenging love. In popular culture, the imagery is sometimes referenced to evoke mystery, ancient wisdom, or a connection to an alternative spiritual path. This artistic engagement demonstrates that the Black Madonna is no longer solely a Catholic icon. She has become a free-floating cultural archetype, available for anyone to use in their own search for meaning. She provides a rich visual and symbolic language for discussing the sacredness of blackness, the power of the feminine, and the importance of integrating the rejected and hidden aspects of ourselves and our societies. An enduring invitation, the global journey of the Black Madonna, from the crypts of Chartres to the rivers of Brazil and the studios of modern artists, confirms her status as a truly universal symbol. She is a shapeshifter, taking on the specific needs and meanings of the cultures that encounter her while retaining her core mystery. Her enduring power lies in this very adaptability. She is a symbol that can hold paradoxes. She is Christian and pre-Christian, European and global, a mother and a warrior, a symbol of suffering and of immense strength. She offers a vision of the sacred that is not afraid of darkness, whether that darkness is of the soil, the unconscious, the skin, or the unknown. The Black Madonna does not provide simple answers. Instead, she offers an invitation to journey, to question, to descend into the depths, and to ultimately find transformation there. In a world that often prioritizes light over dark, surface over depth, and simplicity over complexity, the Black Madonna remains a vital and necessary sacred mystery. She calls us to remember that wisdom, healing, and the divine itself are often found not in the glaring sun, but in the fertile, shadowy depths, waiting to be discovered. To fully appreciate the Black Madonna phenomenon, one must move beyond theory and history to consider the physical object itself, the statue or painting, and the lived experience of devotion that surrounds it. The materials, craftsmanship, and rituals associated with these figures form a silent language that communicates meaning in ways that words cannot, deepening the encounter with the sacred. The craft of creation, wood, stone, and pigment. Most Black Madonnas are not made from precious materials like gold or marble, but from humble, earthly substances. The majority are sculpted from wood, oak, walnut, pearlwood materials that were once living, connected to the forest and the soil. This choice of material is significant. It grounds the divine figure in the natural world, associating her with growth, organic life, and the earth itself. The process of carving was itself considered a spiritual practice, a meditation that transformed a raw piece of nature into a vessel for the divine. The application of polychrome paint was equally important. Artists employed a limited palette of natural pigments, OKRs for flesh tones, lapis lazuli for the Virgin's blue mantle, an incredibly expensive color symbolizing heaven and truth, and vermilion for her robes. The darkness of the skin was often achieved not with black paint, but with layers of green earth pigment terravert as an underpainting over which flesh tones were applied. As these upper layers thinned over time or were deliberately removed during cleanings, the greenish underlayer could show through, creating a shadowy, darkened complexion. This technical method suggests that the darkness was, in many cases, an intentional artistic effect from the very beginning, meant to create a specific visual impact. The visual grammar of pose and gesture. The Black Madonna is rarely depicted in a passive pose. She is most often shown as the Theotokos Hardigatria, she who shows the way. In this classic Byzantine pose, she sits upright on a throne, holding the Christ child on her left arm while gesturing toward him with her right hand. Her gesture is the entire focus of her being. She does not look at the viewer, but directs our attention toward the divine child, the source of salvation. She is the guide, the mediator, the pointer to the sacred. The child, often depicted with the facial features of a small adult, raises his hand in a gesture of blessing. This formal composition communicates theology. Mary is the path to Christ, and through Christ, to God. Her expression is typically serene, solemn, and unwavering. She meets the gazes of countless pilgrims with an unwavering look that is both compassionate and authoritative. This is not a gentle, sentimental mother, but a queen on her throne, a figure of immense spiritual power and stability. The rituals of adornment and veneration. The statues are rarely seen in their raw state. They are living entities within their communities, and their appearance is shaped by centuries of ritual devotion. They are often clothed in elaborate, real fabric, garments, intricate dresses, mantles, and veils that are changed according to the liturgical calendar. They wear crowns of gold and precious jewels, gifts from grateful pilgrims or royalty. The practice of dressing the Madonna is an intimate act of care, often performed by a select group of women in the community, reinforcing the personal, maternal connection. The jewels and ex-votos, metal offerings shaped like healed body parts, that often cover her robes, and the walls of her chapel are a silent testament to centuries of answered prayers and miracles. a physical archive of human suffering and gratitude. The most profound ritual is the pilgrimage itself, the arduous journey to her shrine, the fatigue of the journey, the act of approaching on knees, the lighting of a candle, the long moment of silent gaze exchanged between devotee and statue. These are not merely customs. They are technologies of the spirit. They are designed to break down the ego, to create a state of openness and receptivity, making the pilgrim ready to receive whatever grace, insight, or transformation the Dark Mother might offer. This silent language of wood, gesture, cloth, and ritual creates a holistic experience that bypasses intellectual understanding and speaks directly to the heart and the unconscious. It is in this full sensory context, the smell of wax and incense, the gleam of gold in candlelight, the smooth wood touched by millions of hands, that the Black Madonna ceases to be an art, historical puzzle, and becomes what she has always been for the faithful: a living mother, a powerful queen, and a mysterious gateway to the divine. After exploring the historical, geographical, artistic, theological, and psychological dimensions of the Black Madonna, we arrive not at a conclusion, but at a threshold. The essence of her mystery remains intact, perhaps even deepened by our inquiry. To encounter the Black Madonna is to embrace a question that does not demand an answer, but invites perpetual contemplation. She is a living mystery, and her power lies in her ability to simultaneously affirm and transcend every theory proposed about her. The limitations of a single story, each lens through which we view the Black Madonna reveals a truth, but also reveals its own limitations. The materialist theory of accidental darkening explains the patina of time, but cannot account for the specific reverence given to these figures from their earliest histories. The theological interpretation rooted in the Song of Songs provides a powerful scriptural framework, but may feel like an intellectual overlay to a phenomenon that predates its widespread application. The anthropological theory of pagan continuity is compelling and historically plausible for many sites, yet it risks reducing a complex spiritual symbol to a simple case of religious rebranding. The Jungian psychological reading offers a universal, personal application, but can sometimes feel disconnected from the specific faith of the millions who pilgrimage to her shrines. The truth of the Black Madonna likely resides in the interplay of all these narratives. She is a palimpsest, a parchment on which layer upon layer of meaning has been inscribed over centuries. A medieval peasant, a Baroque theologian, a 19th-century nationalist, a modern psychoanalyst, and a contemporary feminist artist all find something different in her dark gaze, because she contains multitudes. She is a symbol powerful enough to hold these contradictions without collapsing. A symbol for our time in the 21st century, the Black Madonna feels more relevant than ever. In an era of polarization, she represents a synthesis of opposites: light and dark, Christian and pagan, spirit and matter, masculine and feminine. She challenges the modern obsession with clarity, explanation, and surface-level appearance. Her darkness is a rebuke to a culture that often fears the shadow both in the world and within the individual self. She calls for a spirituality of depth. She suggests that true wisdom is not found in easy answers or blinding light, but in the willingness to descend into the unknown, the complex, and the mysterious. She is an antidote to what philosopher Charles Taylor called the disenchantment of the world, re-enchanting our perception of the sacred by rooting it in the dark, fertile soil of the earth and the human soul. The enduring pilgrimage, the uninterrupted flow of pilgrims to her shrines, is the most tangible evidence of her living power. They do not come seeking a historical explanation or an artistic analysis. They come with the raw material of human life: illness, despair, gratitude, joy, and seeking. They come to stand before the mystery itself. This pilgrimage is an eternal human gesture. It is the recognition that some questions are too deep for words, some wounds too profound for simple medicine, some joys too expansive for ordinary expression. In the presence of the Black Madonna, these human experiences are met not with a doctrine, but with a silent, compassionate, and ancient gaze that seems to say, "I know, I have been here from the beginning. I am with you in the darkness." Final invocation. So, what is the Black Madonna? She is the earth that gives and takes life. She is the ancient memory of mother goddesses. She is the scriptural bride blackened by the sun of divine love. She is the alchemical vessel of transformation. She is the Jungian archetype of the deep feminine. She is a national symbol of resilience. She is a challenge to racial hierarchies. She is a masterpiece of medieval craft. She is a catalyst for personal transformation. But above all, she is an invitation. An invitation to acknowledge the sacredness of darkness. An invitation to seek wisdom in the shadows. An invitation to embrace the full, complex truth of who we are and who we might become. Her mystery endures because it is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. She remains, as she has for centuries, a sacred mirror, waiting in the silent places for those willing to make the journey to see what her darkness might reveal within themselves. The question is not, why is she black? But rather, what does her darkness reveal to you? Our extensive exploration of the Black Madonna, from her historical roots and geographical spread to the theories of her origin, her artistic form, and her profound psychological impact, ultimately leads us to the most important dimension, the personal. The true essence of this sacred mystery is not found in libraries or theories, but in the individual human heart that chooses to engage with her. To complete our journey, we must transition from the academic and historical to the intimate and experiential, considering what it means to stand before her today and what she asks of us. The silent exchange of the gaze at the core of the Black Madonna devotion lies a simple, profound act, the meeting of eyes. Pilgrims often speak of this moment of approaching the often small, dark figure, surrounded by gold, jewels, and the flicker of countless candles, and feeling her gaze upon them. It is described not as a passive glance, but as an active, penetrating, and deeply knowing look. This is the visio, the vision that pilgrims seek. This gaze is transformative because it is non-judgmental yet all-seeing. It does not see the persona one presents to the world, but the soul in its raw, authentic state with its wounds, its virtues, its history, and its potential. In Jungian terms, she sees the whole self, the conscious and the shadow, and accepts it entirely. This acceptance is the first step toward self-acceptance and integration. For the faithful, this is the gaze of unconditional divine love, a love that knows the darkest corners of one's being and does not flinch. This silent exchange is the culmination of the pilgrimage. It is a moment of being truly seen, and in that visibility, finding healing and wholeness. The Madonna as mirror. The Black Madonna functions as a mirror. She does not give easy answers because the answer lies within the seeker. Her darkness reflects back the darkness of the pilgrim, not as something to be feared, but as something to be explored and understood. She invites a descent into one's personal underworld, the repressed memories, the ignored talents, the unacknowledged grief, the hidden strengths. This is why her stories are so often about resilience and transformation. She does not promise a life without scars. The hacked cheek of Our Lady of Czestochowa proves she bears them too. Instead, she promises the strength to endure them and to find meaning within them. To encounter her is to be invited to find the Black Madonna within oneself, that core of unshakable, resilient, and deeply intuitive strength that persists through life's trials. She is an archetype of what the psychologist Carol Gilligan called the underground river of women, psychology, a deep, persistent current of knowing and being that flows beneath the surface structures of society. Carrying the mystery forward, the journey to understand the Black Madonna does not end when one leaves her shrine or finishes a text. The true task begins when we carry her mystery back into our daily lives. How does one live with the insights gained from this encounter? It means learning to value darkness and silence as much as light and noise. It means seeking depth in a world that often rewards the superficial. It means having the courage to acknowledge and integrate our own shadow aspects, our anger, our power, our vulnerability rather, than projecting them onto others. It means nurturing a compassionate yet resilient strength, like that of a mother who protects and endures. For societies, her continued relevance is a call to revalue the feminine principle, not solely in women, but as a fundamental energy of receptivity, nurture, creativity, and connection to nature that is essential for balance in our world. She challenges systems of power that are solely hierarchical, rational, and dominating, offering a model of authority that is grounded in compassion, wisdom, and inner strength. A final contemplation, the Black Madonna remains because she answers a hunger that logic cannot satisfy. She is a testament to the human spirit's need for symbols that are complex, deep, and powerful enough to hold the paradoxes of existence, suffering and joy, death and life, darkness and light. She is ultimately a symbol of hope, but not a naive hope. It is a hope that is hard-won, forged in the depths, a hope that knows the full cost of things, yet still endures. It is the hope that the night will eventually give way to dawn, that the seed in the dark earth will break open and grow, that the period of despair negredo will lead to renewal and enlightenment. In the end, we are left not with a definition, but with an image, a dark mother on a throne, serene and mighty, holding a child who blesses the world. She is silent, yet her presence speaks volumes. She is ancient, yet utterly present. She is dark, yet luminous. She invites us not to solve her mystery, but to live it, to embark on our own pilgrimage, both outward and inward, and to discover for ourselves the sacred transformative power that resides in the heart of darkness. The journey is over only when we stop seeking, and for those who have met her gaze, the seeking has just begun. We have journeyed through the history, the art, the theology, and the psychology of the Black Madonna. We have stood before her in great basilicas and humble chapels, delved into the scientific and symbolic reasons for her darkness, and considered her enduring power across cultures and into the modern psyche. After this long exploration, we find ourselves returning to our starting point, but with a crucial difference. We now stand before her mystery, not with ignorance, but with reverence for its depth. We arrive at an understanding that true knowing often means appreciating how much we cannot know. The sum of all theories, the Black Madonna defies a single origin story, because she is the sum of all her stories. She is a convergence point, where history, faith, and the human subconscious meet. The candle smoke of centuries did darken her, and in that accidental process, generations found a visible sign for a spiritual truth they already felt. The theologians who linked her to the Song of Songs provided a powerful scriptural language for a devotion that already existed in the hearts of the people. The sites where she dwells are often ancient, and the human soul, feeling the sacredness of such a place, instinctively reaches for a symbol that can hold that primordial power, a dark, maternal, earthbound form. To ask whether she is a Christianized pagan goddess or a purely Christian symbol is to ask a false dichotomy. She is both. She is what the human spirit needed her to be, a bridge between the old world and the new, between the earth and the divine, between the conscious and the unconscious, between the suffering of the world and its hope for redemption. Her power lies in this synthetic, inclusive nature. She does not erase the past, but sanctifies it. She does not fear syncretism, but embodies it, an icon for the future. As we move further into the 21st century, the Black Madonna's message is not a relic, it is a urgent and necessary wisdom. In an age of climate crisis, she stands as a profound symbol of an embodied, earthly sacredness. She is not a divinity removed from nature in a distant heaven. She is dark like the soil, ancient like the mountains, resilient like the roots of an oak tree. She calls us back into a relationship of reverence with the very world we are destroying. In an age of social fragmentation and racial tension, her dark skin speaks a silent, powerful lesson of sacred inclusivity. Long before modern debates, she presented an image of the divine that was not white, challenging any attempt to claim the divine for a single ethnicity or culture. She is a universal mother whose darkness makes her belong to everyone and no one exclusively. In an age of anxiety and surface-level living, her example is a call to depth. She represents the courage to confront the shadow, both personal and collective. The healing of our world, she suggests, will not come from focusing only on the light, but from having the courage to acknowledge, integrate, and transform the darkness within our own hearts, our histories, and our societies. The last word is silence. Any study of the Black Madonna must ultimately fall silent before her. Words can circle the mystery, but they cannot penetrate its core. The final understanding is not intellectual. It is experiential. It is the experience of the pilgrim who, after a long journey, finally looks up and meets her eyes. In that moment, all theories fall away. What remains is a profound encounter with something ancient, knowing, and comforting. She is a mystery not to be solved, but to be lived. Her darkness is not a void to be filled with light, but a fullness to be embraced. She is the womb and the tomb, the beginning and the end of our seeking. She is the Black Madonna, or eternal, sacred mystery. The invitation she issued 1,000 years ago still stands, waiting for any who have the courage to turn from the noise of the world and listen to the wisdom of the dark. This concludes our text on the Black Madonna. Thank you for embarking on this journey. The story of the Black Madonna is not confined to history books or academic analysis. It lives and breathes in the continuous practices of devotion that surround her images across the world. To understand her enduring power, we must examine the rituals, prayers, and personal testimonies that form the vibrant tapestry of her cultus. This living tradition transforms the statues and icons from art objects into active participants in the lives of the faithful. The rhythm of ritual around each Black Madonna, a complex ecosystem of ritual, has evolved. These are not static ceremonies, but dynamic practices that mark time, both liturgical and personal. The liturgical calendar dictates her adornment. She may be dressed in solemn purple for Lent, glorious gold for feast days, or simple blue for ordinary time. In many shrines, the changing of these robes is itself a sacred ritual, performed by a privileged few, often women who have served for generations. The rhythm of prayer is constant. The rosary is recited, litanies are chanted, and masses are celebrated before her. But alongside these formal prayers exists a hum of personal petition, whispered requests, tears shed in her presence, handwritten notes tucked into grills near her altar. This creates a powerful atmosphere of accumulated hope and sorrow, a palpable energy that pilgrims describe feeling as soon as they enter her sacred space. The ex voto, testimonies in silver and wax perhaps. The most poignant evidence of her living presence are the ex voto's tangible expressions of gratitude for miracles received. These take two primary forms, the symbolic and the narrative. The symbolic ex votos are often small, mass-produced metal plaques depicting a healed body part, an eye, a leg, a breast. These are left as a thank you for healing from illness or injury. Walls surrounding famous Black Madonnas are often covered in these shimmering testaments, a vast collage of human suffering alleviated. The narrative ex votos are more personal. These are detailed paintings, sometimes crude, sometimes skilled, that depict the moment of danger from which the Madonna saved the supplicant: a ship sinking in a storm, a horse throwing its rider, a child falling down a well, inscribed with the date and the words per grazia ricevuta, for grace received. These are not merely art, they are frozen moments of terror and salvation, a powerful archive of divine intervention in human affairs. They are a collective, visual memory of her active role in the world. The modern pilgrim, the archetype of the pilgrim, has evolved, but the essence remains. While many still travel for explicitly religious reasons, others are drawn by cultural curiosity, a search for historical connection, or a vague spiritual yearning they cannot name. Yet, upon arrival, something often shifts. The modern pilgrim, perhaps initially a tourist, can find themselves unexpectedly moved by the atmosphere, the devotion of others, or the simple power of her gaze. The journey itself remains a crucial part of the process. The physical effort of travel, whether by foot along ancient paths like the Camino de Santiago, which has detours to Montserrat, or by more modern means, serves as a decompression chamber from ordinary life. It strips away daily concerns and prepares the individual for an encounter with something beyond themselves. The Madonna in the digital age. Her presence has also migrated into the digital realm. Webcams stream from her chapels 24 hours a day, allowing global devotion. Online forums and social media groups are dedicated to sharing stories, images, and prayers. People request digital candles to be lit on their behalf. This modern adaptation demonstrates her timeless relevance. The medium changes, but the fundamental human desire for connection and intercession remains the same. The living tradition of the Black Madonna proves that she is not a relic. She is a vital, active force. The rituals are the heartbeat of this relationship. The ex votos are its physical proof, and the pilgrims ancient and modern are its lifeblood. They come, they witness, they participate, and they carry her mystery back into the world, ensuring that this sacred enigma continues to captivate, comfort, and transform human lives, just as she has for 1,000 years. As we near the end of our exploration, we must expand our view to the widest possible lens. The Black Madonna, while rooted in specific Christian contexts, has transcended her doctrinal origins to become a universal archetype. Her image speaks to fundamental human experiences and longings that exist beyond the boundaries of any single religion, culture, or era. She has become a global symbol of what it means to seek comfort, strength, and transformation in the face of life's mysteries. A symbol beyond Christianity, while venerated within Catholicism. The Black Madonna's resonance is not limited to Christians. She is studied and revered by those of other faiths, spiritual seekers, psychologists, artists, and historians. This broad appeal suggests that her power derives from something more fundamental than religious doctrine. She taps into what the mythologist Joseph Campbell called the elementary ideas of humanity, the universal patterns and symbols that form the bedrock of the human experience. For many, she represents the divine feminine in its purest form, a concept that predates and transcends Christianity. In this sense, she is a sister to other dark goddesses and mother figures across world religions. Kali in Hinduism, the dark aspect of the goddess who destroys ignorance. Isis in Egyptian mythology, the great mother and magician. And Terra in Buddhism, the mother of liberation. These figures all share common traits. They are powerful, compassionate, connected to the cycles of life and death, and often depicted with dark or blue skin, symbolizing their infinite, formless nature. The mother of the oppressed throughout history. The Black Madonna has consistently been a figure of identification for the marginalized and oppressed. Her dark skin has made her a natural icon for people of color, offering a powerful counter-narrative to the predominantly white imagery of the divine in Western art. In the Americas, as we saw with Our Lady of Aparecida, she became a symbol of hope and identity for enslaved Africans and their descendants. Her shrines have historically been places of refuge. In medieval Europe, they often offered sanctuary to those fleeing persecution. She is frequently associated with the poor, the sick, and the outcast. This alignment with the marginalized is not accidental. It reflects a core aspect of her character. She does not reign from a distant, untouchable throne, but is found in the struggles and sufferings of humanity. She is a mother who knows hardship, bears scars, and thus offers profound solidarity to those who suffer. An archetype of resilience and transformation at her core, the Black Madonna is a symbol of incredible resilience. Her stories are filled with survival, surviving attempts to destroy her, surviving fires, surviving wars, surviving the neglect of time. She embodies the human capacity to endure, to persist, and to find meaning in suffering. She does not promise a life free from pain. Instead, she promises the strength to withstand it and to be transformed by it. This makes her a profoundly relevant figure for our contemporary world. In an era of global pandemics, social upheaval, and environmental anxiety, her message of resilience is desperately needed. She represents the hope that we can pass through our collective dark night of the soul and emerge changed, more conscious, and more whole. She is the archetype of post-traumatic growth, the invitation to wholeness. Ultimately, the universal appeal of the Black Madonna is an invitation to wholeness. She calls us to integrate all parts of ourselves, the light and the dark, the conscious and the unconscious, the spiritual and the earthly. She challenges the dualistic thinking that separates heaven from earth, spirit from matter, and sacred from profane. In her dark majesty, these opposites are reconciled. She invites us to find the sacred, not only in light and clarity, but also in shadow and mystery. She teaches that divinity is immanent, present in the dark soil, in the human body, in the cycles of nature, and in the depths of the human psyche. To honor her is to honor the complexity and depth of life itself. The Black Madonna, in all her forms, remains one of the most potent and enduring symbols humanity has ever created. She is a mirror reflecting our deepest fears and highest hopes, a mother comforting us in our sorrows, a queen empowering us with her strength, and a guide leading us into the transformative power of the dark. Her mystery endures because it is, finally, the mystery of life itself, mystery to be lived, cherished, and revered. After this extensive journey through history, art, theology, and personal devotion, we are left not with a definitive answer, but with a deeper, more resonant question. The Black Madonna, in her silent majesty, resists final categorization. She is a paradox that invites perpetual contemplation rather than a problem demanding a solution. To conclude our exploration, we must sit with this mystery and consider its enduring significance for the human spirit. The power of the unanswered in a world increasingly driven by data, metrics, and the relentless pursuit of clear-cut explanations. The Black Madonna stands as a testament to the power of the unanswered question. She is a sacred ambiguity. Her darkness is a reminder that not everything needs to be illuminated, analyzed, and understood to be valid, powerful, and real. Some truths are too deep for words and are best expressed in symbol, ritual, and silent reverence. This is not an argument for ignorance, but for wisdom. It is the recognition that the reductionist impulse to explain everything can sometimes strip the world of its wonder and depth. The Black Madonna safeguards this depth. She protects the numinous, the experience of the sacred that is wholly other and beyond our comprehension. By remaining mysterious, she ensures that the encounter with the divine always contains an element of awe and surprise. A bridge across time, the Black Madonna functions as a unique bridge across time. She connects us to the medieval pilgrim who traveled on foot for months, driven by a faith we can scarcely imagine. She connects us to the ancient worshippers of earth goddesses who felt the sacred power of specific springs, groves, and mountains. And she connects us to future generations who will undoubtedly find new meanings in her dark gaze. She is a constant in the flow of human history. Empires have risen and fallen. Theological debates have raged and faded. Artistic styles have come and gone. Yet she remains. Her persistence is a message in itself, that the human need for a compassionate, powerful, and mysterious sacred presence is eternal. She satisfies a yearning that is fundamental to our species. A personal and collective mirror, ultimately. The Black Madonna serves as both a personal and a collective mirror. To the individual, she reflects the hidden parts of the self, the shadow, the inner strength, the buried sorrow, the potential for transformation. She asks us to acknowledge and integrate our own darkness, not as a flaw, but as a source of depth and power. To cultures and societies, she reflects their struggles and their spirit. For Poland, she is the indomitable heart of national survival. For Catalonia, she is a symbol of unique identity and pride. For Brazil, she is an icon of racial and social hope. For the modern seeker, she is a guide to ecological consciousness and psychological wholeness. She absorbs the needs of a people and reflects back to them their highest values and their deepest struggles. The final invitation, our journey through the world of the Black Madonna, ends where it began, with an invitation. It is the same invitation she has offered for a millennium. It is an invitation to move beyond the surface, to embrace complexity, to value darkness as much as light, and to seek wisdom in the hidden, quiet places. She invites us on a pilgrimage. This pilgrimage may be physical, to one of her ancient shrines, but more importantly, it is always an interior pilgrimage, descent into the self, a journey to the core of one's own being, where the most profound truths reside. The Black Madonna does not offer easy answers, because she is not an answer. She is a question. She is a living, sacred question in wood and stone, painted in the dark pigments of the earth. And her silent, enduring question to every person who encounters her is this: do you have the courage to embrace the mystery, to love the darkness, and to find the divine, not only in the light, but in the depths? Her mystery endures because it is, in the end, the mystery of life itself, beautiful, terrifying, compassionate, resilient, and endlessly deep. And for that, we can only offer our gratitude, our wonder, and our continued devotion. Our exploration has taken us through the historical, symbolic, and spiritual dimensions of the Black Madonna. Yet her story continues to unfold in the present moment. Her legacy is not a static relic of the past, but a dynamic force that continues to inspire, challenge, and transform individuals and communities today. In this final contemplation, we consider how this ancient symbol speaks to contemporary consciousness and why her presence remains more vital than ever. The Madonna of ecological consciousness in an age of environmental crisis, the Black Madonna emerges as a powerful symbol of ecological wisdom. Her darkness connects her to the rich, fertile soil, the very foundation of life. She represents the earth itself, ancient, nurturing, and resilient, yet vulnerable to exploitation. Many modern interpreters see in her a call to remember our sacred connection to the natural world. She embodies what philosopher and theologian Thomas Berry called the Great Mother, the generative principle of the universe whose body is the earth itself. In this light, devotion to her becomes a form of ecological spirituality, a reverence for the dark, mysterious, life-giving powers of the planet. She calls us away from a relationship of domination over nature to one of reciprocity and care, reminding us that the divine is immanent in the world around us, a symbol for psychological integration. The language of psychology, particularly depth psychology, has given us new ways to understand the Black Madonna's appeal. She represents the process of individuation, the journey toward wholeness that requires embracing all parts of the self, including those we have repressed or rejected. Her darkness symbolizes the unconscious, the shadow self that holds both our wounds and our greatest potentials. In a culture that often prioritizes positivity, success, and light, the Black Madonna validates the necessity of engaging with difficulty, failure, and darkness. She suggests that true healing and creativity come from this engagement. Therapists, artists, and seekers now look to her as an archetype of transformation, a guide for what it means to courageously face the depths of one's own psyche and emerge more integrated and authentic. The digital Madonna, a new kind of presence. The ways we encounter the Black Madonna are evolving. While physical pilgrimage remains powerful, digital technology has created new forms of access and community. High-resolution images allow for detailed study of her features from anywhere in the world. Live streams from her chapels enable real-time participation in rituals and prayers. Online forums and social media groups create global communities of devotion where people share experiences, art, and interpretations. This digital presence does not dilute her power. Rather, it extends her reach, allowing her mystery to touch lives far from her physical shrines. It demonstrates her adaptability, an ancient symbol, finding expression through the most modern of mediums. The unfinished conversation, the story of the Black Madonna, is an unfinished conversation between humanity and the divine. Each generation brings its own questions, struggles, and hopes to her, and she responds not with fixed answers, but with an enduring, compassionate presence that encourages deeper questioning. She is a mirror reflecting our evolving understanding of the sacred, gender, power, and identity. She does not resolve our contradictions, but holds them in a creative tension. She is both mother and queen, vulnerable and powerful, sorrowful and resilient, human and divine. In a fragmented world, she models how to contain multitudes. She shows us that wisdom lies not in choosing sides but in embracing the whole. A parting blessing. As we end this journey, we might offer a parting blessing, one that reflects the spirit of the Black Madonna herself. May you have the courage to explore your own darkness. May you find strength in vulnerability and power in compassion. May you remember that growth often begins in the soil of difficulty. May you see the sacred in the earth beneath your feet and the sky above your head. And may you carry within you the resilient, loving, and mysterious spirit of the Dark Mother, who knows the depths and yet continually brings forth life. The Black Madonna remains. She waits in her countless shrines and in the human heart, ready to greet all who seek her with a gaze that knows the full measure of darkness and light. Her mystery endures because we need it to now more than ever. This concludes our text on the Black Madonna. Thank you for accompanying me on this journey. We have journeyed through the history, the art, the theology, and the psychology of the Black Madonna. We have stood before her in great basilicas and humble chapels, delved into the scientific and symbolic reasons for her darkness, and considered her enduring power across cultures and into the modern psyche. After this long exploration, we find ourselves returning to our starting point, but with a crucial difference. We now stand before her mystery, not with ignorance, but with reverence for its depth. We arrive at an understanding that true knowing often means appreciating how much we cannot know. The sum of all theories, the Black Madonna defies a single origin story, because she is the sum of all her stories. She is a convergence point, where history, faith, and the human subconscious meet. The candle smoke of centuries did darken her, and in that accidental process, generations found a visible sign for a spiritual truth they already felt. The theologians who linked her to the Song of Songs provided a powerful scriptural language for a devotion that already existed in the hearts of the people. The sites where she dwells are often ancient, and the human soul, feeling the sacredness of such a place, instinctively reaches for a symbol that can hold that primordial power, a dark, maternal, earthbound form. To ask whether she is a Christianized pagan goddess or a purely Christian symbol is to ask a false dichotomy. She is both. She is what the human spirit needed her to be, a bridge between the old world and the new, between the earth and the divine, between the conscious and the unconscious, between the suffering of the world and its hope for redemption. Her power lies in this synthetic, inclusive nature. She does not erase the past, but sanctifies it. She does not fear syncretism, but embodies it, an icon for the future. As we move further into the 21st century, the Black Madonna's message is not a relic, it is a urgent and necessary wisdom. In an age of climate crisis, she stands as a profound symbol of an embodied, earthly sacredness. She is not a divinity removed from nature in a distant heaven. She is dark like the soil, ancient like the mountains, resilient like the roots of an oak tree. She calls us back into a relationship of reverence with the very world we are destroying. In an age of social fragmentation and racial tension, her dark skin speaks a silent, powerful lesson of sacred inclusivity. Long before modern debates, she presented an image of the divine that was not white, challenging any attempt to claim the divine for a single ethnicity or culture. She is a universal mother whose darkness makes her belong to everyone and no one exclusively. In an age of anxiety and surface-level living, her example is a call to depth. She represents the courage to confront the shadow, both personal and collective. The healing of our world, she suggests, will not come from focusing only on the light, but from having the courage to acknowledge, integrate, and transform the darkness within our own hearts, our histories, and our societies. The last word is silence. Any study of the Black Madonna must ultimately fall silent before her. Words can circle the mystery, but they cannot penetrate its core. The final understanding is not intellectual. It is experiential. It is the experience of the pilgrim who, after a long journey, finally looks up and meets her eyes. In that moment, all theories fall away. What remains is a profound encounter with something ancient, knowing, and comforting. She is a mystery not to be solved, but to be lived. Her darkness is not a void to be filled with light, but a fullness to be embraced. She is the womb and the tomb, the beginning and the end of our seeking. She is the Black Madonna, or eternal, sacred mystery. The invitation she issued 1,000 years ago still stands, waiting for any who have the courage to turn from the noise of the world and listen to the wisdom of the dark. This concludes our text on the Black Madonna. Thank you for embarking on this journey.